Hello and welcome to Buncey Cast number 11, and we are now at game week number 8 in the Premier League, and this week we did have Arsenal Football Club at home at Craven Cottage, and I have a lot to be going over because it was a very interesting game. And starting in the lineups for both teams was number 1 Marcus Bettinelli for Fulham, number 4 Dennis O'Doy, 13 Ream, 20 Le Marchand, with what seemed to be a back three, but obviously we did have wing backs in number 22 Cyrus Christie and Ryan Sessegnon, number 3 on the left hand side. And then we had 2 CDMs of Anguissa and Seri, the same as last week, no changes there. And then a front 3 of Vieto Mitrovic and Schürrle. And that was the team that we went in with. And Arsenal going in with Bernd Leno making his Premier League debut for Arsenal. Nacho Monreal, Rob Holding, Mustafi, Bellerin, Iwobi, Xhaka, Torreira, Mkhitaryan, Alexandre Lacazette and Danny Welbeck. That was the team Arsenal went in with, and that was obviously a superior team to ours. However, Arsenal didn't play some of their main players such as Ozil, Ramsey and Aubameyang straight off the back because they obviously felt that they had the capability within their side to take down Fulham with the players that they put out. Interesting to see Bernd Leno make his Premier League debut. Obviously, he did make some good stops, but I am going to be going over each individual performance, as always, for each of the Fulham players. So obviously, in goal, Marcus Bettinelli, and he had, again, quite a good performance. Obviously, it's never good as a goalkeeper to concede 5 goals in one football match, but really and truly, our defending was just absolutely shocking, and I really do not put any of the blame on Marcus Bettinelli because none of the goals were due to lack of good goalkeeping. There were no goalkeeper errors whatsoever in any of the goals. Quite frankly, Arsenal showed their quality and showed why they are a top 5 team in the Premier League, and their finishing was just absolutely outstanding. So I think overall, Bettinelli, he did make some very nice stops. It is really clear why he's been selected in the England lineup once again. He's been called up. And overall for the game, I'm going to give Bettinelli a 6.5 rating. Starting at the back, we had Dennis O'Doy at number 4, and again, I really do not think he's Premier League quality. Obviously, I get on his back quite a lot. I don't really rate him at this level. However, he didn't have a shocking performance. It wasn't particularly great either. So for Dennis O'Doy, I am going to give him a 5 rating. Tim Ream in the middle of the 3 centre-backs, and I thought that Ream obviously is still getting into the Premier League after only just coming back into injury. It's his second start of the season. I think he had a pretty decent performance. He didn't do too much wrong, and he did what needed to be done. It was a shame again we conceded 5 goals, but there was a lot of reasons why that happened. I don't think Ream was one of them, so overall for Ream I'm going to give him a 6 rating. Maxime Le Marchand at the back now. I did actually think he was probably one of our best defenders for the game. I thought that Le Marchand done a very good job, obviously only just coming back into this Fulham side after quite a while out of it. I did think that he would be switching to left back here and there, but he did seem to more stay at centre back, especially after Ream got substituted off. Le Marchand was definitely centre back. I thought that he did a pretty good job. He was always in defensive positions that he needed to be in where other people were lacking and out of position. Le Marchand was always at the right place at the right time, and obviously he did do some things, some errors that most players would do. There's not a lot we can really fault Le Marchand on, and overall for Le Marchand I'm going to give him a 6.5 rating. So our wing backs for the game, to start off with Cyrus Christie, and Christie really did not have a very good performance whatsoever. He was probably, he was the weakest performer in our side against Arsenal. He was running all the way up the pitch, and I really don't know what Slavisa Jokanovic told him to do before the game. because as a wing back you expect them to be getting back, tracking back all the time, but whenever Christie went forward he always seemed to stay at the top. There was no effort to track back, to run back. Not being funny, if you're a wing back and you're up top while the other team are attacking, you go out and you make sure you bust a gut to get back there. You make sure you are there, because as your job as a wing back you need to be defensive, and obviously Christie, as his natural position is a right back, he needs to be defensive, and we really did see a lack of that, and really and truly his crossing into the box as well was just absolutely abysmal. Christie I don't think is good enough for this level at the moment. He will be at some point for sure. At the moment it is a real big shame that Fosu Mensah is out injured, because Christie's performance against Arsenal was absolutely shocking, and I'm going to give him a 4 rating. The second of the two wing backs was Ryan Sessegnon, and Sessegnon done a lot better. You would have thought that Sessegnon was the older, more experienced player, because Sessegnon was running down the wing, he was tracking back, busting the gut to get there every single time, and I really don't get how he was doing so much better than Christie. Down one side we had a player that was tracking back, getting forward, getting in all the good positions, passing the ball frequently and not losing it, and on the other side we just had Christie, who was doing the complete opposite. And overall I am going to give Ryan Sessegnon a 5.5 rating. Moving on to the two central defensive midfielders for the game, we had Anguissa first of all, and I thought that Anguissa definitely looks a lot better today than what he has in recent weeks. He looks a lot more confident on the ball, moving it around. There were some points during the game where he looked a bit shaky on the ball, but overall I thought Anguissa had a pretty good performance. I would like to see more of him. I don't really understand the substitution of him coming off, but I would like to see more of him starting, and overall I'm going to give Anguissa, just like Sessegnon, a 5.5 rating. And I'm only going to do 5.5 because I don't think there was quite enough seen from them to be able to push him up to a 6, but 5.5 I think is fair. It's above half, and that is fair for Anguissa's performance. Moving on to the second central defensive midfielder in Jean-Michel Seri, and overall in that game we didn't really see much of him. He was very quiet. He has been quite quiet in recent weeks. Obviously he did have a very good start to the Premier League, however again very quiet today. He didn't do a lot wrong. There was nothing really major that he'd done that was wrong. So overall, just like the other two, I'm actually going to give Seri a 5.5 rating. I would definitely like to see an improvement in the coming weeks of Jean-Michel Seri, because I think that at this level he's definitely capable, and we need to be exploiting his talent a lot more. Moving on to the front three now, Luciano Vietto, and over Twitter I am actually seeing a lot of stuff about Luciano Vietto being fantastic. All of what he's doing, you know, assisting this, assisting that, and yes, he has had a fair few assists this season. But for me personally, I don't get the rage about Luciano Vietto, because I watched him really closely during that Arsenal game, and he didn't look overly good to me, and I would be very interested to know why people are rating him so highly. Obviously I know he has assisted goals, and he did assist our goal against Arsenal, but on the ball he loses it far too much, and there's really a lot of the time when we're in a build-up he seems to lose the ball and there's no end product from Vietto, and I think that is something that I would like to see improved. Obviously his finishing, we didn't really see much of that, as we haven't in recent weeks. I think that overall Vietto probably for me would get a 6 performance. Overall he did assist our goal, he did do fairly decent, so I'm going to give him a 6 over 5.5, because I think that he did do better than the others. However, I'm not really seeing too much of him to be saying that he's one of our best players at the moment. Again, I am very interested to know why a lot of people are thinking that he is, and let me know down below, because I am very interested to know people's view on Vietto. And moving on to Andre Schürrle, obviously the goal scorer, and may I say a very nice over-the-top chip, beautiful goal. Absolutely sensational, and obviously a lot of people are saying it was a bit greedy. However, I think if he thinks that he can finish it from there really and truly, then let him do the job. If he misses it, it's absolutely dreadful. If he scores it, it's fantastic. If he missed it, I'd be telling you about how rubbish he was, but he did score it, he did pull it off, he has the quality, he's a World Cup winner. I'm always going to bring that up because he is, and we got to stick to that. But no, Andre Schürrle, he had a decent performance. Again, Out of him and Vieto, I'd say that Schürrle probably was a little bit better on the ball. His passing, he's more experienced with passing the ball around. And overall for the game, I am going to give Schürrle a 6.5 rating. And finally, moving on to the final player of the side, Aleksandar Mitrovic, our number 9, the main man up top. And I can't really say a lot about his performance, really, because, again, defence isolates him the whole game. I cannot recall one chance he really had, apart from one header, which he probably could have done better with, to be honest. And defences are isolating him really well. They know the danger that Aleksandar Mitrovic brings. And if I was a manager, I would be making sure that he is marked all game, because he brings so much fire. And obviously he is on fire a lot of the time. And he has scored a lot of goals this season, but once again today, isolated, he couldn't do much. So overall, I am actually going to give him a 5 overall rating for the game. So that is it for the Fulham players' ratings for the game. I thought that a lot of Arsenal players really did show their quality. Lucas Torreira, I thought that was probably one of their standout players. They were chanting his name a lot during the match, and I could see why. He hasn't started a lot this season for Arsenal. However, I do think that he will definitely be in their side in weeks to come. And other players that I thought done well was Mkhitaryan and Alexandre Lacazette. Obviously getting those 2 goals. Lacazette's finishes were just outstandingly good. But I am going to continue talking about Fulham, and I'm going to talk about the changes that we made during the game. So the first change I want to talk about is Ream coming off. And actually Kamara came on for Ream. And it was at that point that we switched to the 3 at the back. And that was a very interesting sub, because obviously we wanted to attack. We wanted to try and get more goals. However, we brought off Tim Ream. I don't get why we wouldn't bring off Dennis O'Doy, because O'Doy was clearly the worst of the 3 centre-backs. Ream was probably one of the best. I mean, Lamarche and Ream were fairly similar, but to take off Ream over O'Doy was a little bit of a silly decision for me. Very interesting. I hope that we don't see this repeated too often, taking off the wrong players, because with Fulham it always seems that we have a couple players on a pitch that are clearly not doing a good job, but still get left on and don't get subbed off. Second substitution I want to talk about is Anguissa coming off for Kevin McDonald. And again, that was a very interesting one, because what really is the point in that? What is McDonald going to bring to the table that Anguissa isn't already? Obviously, he does have leadership qualities, but in like the 70th minute or whatever it was when he came on, what is he really going to do to change the game at that stage? Obviously, if Anguissa was looking tired, fair enough, but that one is a little bit odd for me again. And finally, Luciano Vieto coming off for Stefan Johansson. And again, very interesting. Why would we not do that before? Because Johansson is not an attacking-minded player as much as what we would want him to be. He doesn't score many goals, obviously. He does get a lot of yellow cards. And it was very interesting to see him coming on, to be honest. All 3 substitutions I thought that were a bit interesting. For me, if I was making the substitutions, I would have brought on Steven Sessegnon for Cyrus Christie, because Christie's performance was just absolutely woeful, to put it kindly. And Floyd Ayite I would have brung on for Luciano Vieto. And finally, I would have brung on Alfie Mawson for Dennis O'Doy, because I thought that O'Doy looked too shaky at the back. That's what I personally would have done. Obviously not very attacking changes from me, but that's what I would have done. I think that that would have had some more impact on the game. Obviously Christie, I just can't express enough how poor his performance was. And I really do like Christie, that's the thing. I really rate him as a player. But in the Premier League, he's just been woeful. And I really want to see that improved. He's got a bit of time now to improve over the next week or 2. Because obviously it's the international break next week. Fulham aren't actually playing now until the 20th of October against Cardiff City away in Cardiff. And to be honest with you, if we don't win that game, then we are in trouble. At this moment in time, I am Slavis Jokanovic in firmly. I believe that he knows what he's doing. I think we've been a little bit unlucky with some injuries lately. Obviously, Kearney still missing, not even on the bench. I think that Slavista knows what he's doing for sure, definitely. And obviously losing 5-1 against Arsenal, you know, it's not fantastic. I think that 5 is definitely not a fair reflection. We seem to always lose it whenever we start conceding. It happened against Everton as well. Once we start conceding, we just cannot stop. And it needs to stop right now because our defence is too shaky. At this level of English football, you cannot have centre-backs that are this shaky. It needs to change fast. Looking ahead to the Cardiff match, I would definitely like to see Christie out of the side if he hasn't improved in training. I would like to give maybe Steven Sessegnon a chance, but to be honest with you, I think that we're going to have to change formation because we got it all wrong against Arsenal. And, you know, in that first half, we were showing some brilliant signs of what we can do at this level. But as soon as we started conceding in the second half, we just lost it from there. And it's a real shame to see. But into the Cardiff game, I would like to see us go back to our 4-3-3. I would like to see a lineup of Marcus Bettinelli, a left back of Maxime Le Marchand, two centre backs of Tim Ream and Alfie Mawson, with a right back of Christie if he has improved. Three central midfielders, I would like to see Anguissa, Kearney if he's back from injury, and Seri. And then a front three of Sessegnon, Mitrovic and Schürrle. That's the team I would go in with against Cardiff. Let me know your thoughts if you agree that that would be the team that you would go in with, or maybe if you would make some changes to that team. Obviously, I would put Le Marchand at left back. I think that he showed his qualities during that game, and I think he's definitely earned a place in this Fulham team for now. Obviously, Alfie Mawson, I would love to come back into this side and prove why we paid so much money for him, and I think that we have a lot more to see from him yet. That will be it for Game Week number 8, Buncey Cast number 11, and I hope you did enjoy this podcast. Thank you very much for last week, again, we're about to reach 100 views on that video as well. That will make it 2 weeks in a row, which I think will be the first time that happened since we literally started this. So thanks very much for that. Make sure you keep liking these videos and coming back every week for more. Next week I will be releasing a special podcast because it is the international break, so keep an eye out for that one. Something a bit different on the way. That will be it from me for now, and thank you very much for listening. Goodbye for now.